Florida property values are booming, but a massive gap exists between your eye-popping contract price and the actual cash payout when the vault slams shut. The only number that actually matters at the closing table is your net proceeds, the money left over after the transaction settles. When sellers sit down to finalize their sale, they often face unexpected line items eating directly into their final check, turning a supposedly simple payday into a highly stressful calculation. The core conflict comes down to a false sense of security. Many homeowners assume their payout is locked in stone the exact moment they sign a standard Florida as-is residential contract. But the fine print contains a specific math. It begins adjusting your final payout before the ink is even dry. To map out these hidden obligations, we have to look closely at the standard Florida Realtors and Florida Bar as-is residential contract. Section 9A explicitly mandates that the seller pay documentary stamp taxes on the deed. This acts as a mandatory state transfer tax on the sale. If your property is in a community, you are also required to cover estoppel fees for the HOA or condominium association. This proves your account is in good standing for the incoming buyer. Foreign sellers face an even stricter hurdle, having to account for specific withholding and reporting charges under FIRPTA regulations. Then there is Section 9C, which dictates who pays for title insurance. The financial burden shifts depending on where you live. In most Florida counties, the seller pays for the policy. But down in Miami-Dade and Broward counties, the buyer typically covers the policy, while the seller only pays for the title search. This single regional negotiation point dictates whether you keep or give up thousands of dollars in a transaction. These standard boilerplate fees are not harmless legal formalities. They are geographical and contractual variables that dictate exactly how much equity you retain. There is a massive misconception built right into the name of the as-is contract. People assume as-is means they can simply pack up and walk away once the paperwork is signed. Section 11 says otherwise. It strictly demands that the property's lawn, shrubbery, and pool be maintained in the exact same condition they were in on the contract's effective date. In reality, sellers get busy packing. They let the yard overgrow or allow the pool filter to sit idle until the water turns green right before closing. If that happens, Section 9A triggers an extreme financial penalty. Let's say a pool cleanup is estimated at $1,000. The contract multiplies that by 125%, pulling $1,250 directly out of your profits and locking it away. The buyer has the legal right to force that sum to be seized and held in escrow. Those funds sit entirely out of your reach until the maintenance requirement is fulfilled to the buyer's satisfaction. Letting maintenance slip after the contract is signed creates a specific financial opening for the buyer, allowing them to use the contract to lock up more of your money than the repair actually costs. Even if you keep the pool perfectly blue, you are financially tethered to the property's carrying costs right up until the day before closing. This involves a process called prorations, where ongoing expenses like real estate taxes, association fees, and insurance are divided mathematically between the buyer and the seller. Because Florida property taxes are paid in arrears, meaning at the end of the year, you have to actively credit the buyer out of your final profits to cover the months you actually lived in the home. The presence of these variables, from tax credits to potential escrow penalties, is why professional brokerage fees are included in the closing disbursement. This ensures an expert is managing the paperwork and shielding your interests from the moment the offer arrives until the final keys are delivered. Before you ever list your property, you need to demand a detailed estimate of your take-home pay based on current home values. The sale concludes only when these final adjustments are reconciled. While the process is complex, a professional net sheet provides the necessary transparency, helping you secure the equity you earned without the stress of unexpected deductions.